Before Rama, before the Mahabharata, he was there, the immortal mentor, the storm waiting in silence. Parashurama.
They say avatars arrive, fulfill a vow, and fade into scripture. But what if one never left? A warrior sage who bowed to Rama, trained the titans of the Mahabharata, and, when the last shadow of Kali settles, will rise again to guide Kalki. 21 purges, 5 blood-red lakes, a name feared by kings, forgotten by time. If legends are lamps, this one still burns behind the curtain. Stay with me till the end, because the avatar you rarely hear about is the one still shaping destiny. Namaste Seeker, you're on Vedic Wars. If you're new here, consider subscribing and walk with us till the end of this tale. By the time we close, you may never hear the word avatar the same way again. Expectation says, avatars descend as princes in palaces. Reality begins in a forest hermitage. Rama, son of sage Jamadagni and Princess Renuka, grew up where birds carried mantras and wind carried the scent of darbha. A Brahmin by birth, but his heartbeat marched like a drum of war. He sought not comfort, but tapas, penance that sears away doubt. So fierce was his austerity that Shiva himself appeared. Eyes like midnight, smile like a crescent blade. Take this, Mahadeva said, the axe that would name him, Parashurama. Rama with the axe, not a contradiction, a cure. For an age where kings fattened on power and dharma thinned like smoke, Vishnu's promise took shape, in the grip of a warrior sage. But fate was sharpening more than an axe. Every epic turns on one sound. For Parashurama, it was not a war cry, but a mother's palms beating her chest. The celestial cow, Kamadhenu, rested in Jamadagni's ashram. Greed came wearing a crown, Kartavirya Arjuna, a 1,000-armed boast wrapped in mortal flesh. He demanded, the sage refused, the king took. Parashurama answered, swift, precise, returning what was sacred. Justice should have cooled the ground. Instead, revenge crawled back like embers. The king's son stormed the hermitage, and while the world looked away, Jamadagni's breath was taken mid-meditation. Parashurama arrived to Renuka weeping, striking her chest. Once, twice, 21 times. With every strike, something in him cracked and clarified. My mother's grief counts the measure of my vow. For every beat, one cleansing of adharma, 21. Not rage, reckoning. But how do you cleanse a world without drowning it? It wasn't a war, it was a reset. Parashurama moved like thunder wrapping itself in silence. The corrupt fell. Kings who confused throne with license, power with right. The Puranas whisper of 5 lakes filled with the color of consequence, of a land where tyrants no longer slept easy. And yet, this was no blind fury. He spared the righteous. He cut only the rot. He raised the weeds so the forest could breathe again. When his vow had counted to 21, he did what ego never imagines. He gave it all away. Land, spoils, pride. Then he turned toward the mountains and chose quiet. You'd think that's an ending, but some stories hide their middle inside their endings. Another Rama stepped into the world, the prince of Ayodhya. A bow of Shiva snapped. The earth itself heard the crack. Parashurama felt it like an echo in his bones. He appeared, eyes bright, old fires waking. Try this, he said, placing Vishnu's own sharanga before the prince. Test or threshold? Maybe both. Ayodhya's Rama lifted it like a river lifts moonlight. No strain, no swagger. Just the stillness of truth revealed. In that stillness, Parashurama saw not a boy, not a rival, but the next wave of the same ocean. He bowed. Some victories are not won by winning, but by recognizing who must walk forward while you become the wind at their back. And with that bow, Parashurama chose obscurity over applause. The torch passed, and a new kind of fire began. From the stage to the wings. But what power lives in the wings? Time names some souls Chiranjeevi, unfaded by calendars. Parashurama stepped into that stream, swapping the roar of conquest for the whisper of guidance. And heroes came to that whisper. Bhishma, whose vow could bend iron, learned the grammar of battle beneath Parashurama's stern compassion. Drona, teacher of princes, drank deep from the old well of weapons and discipline. Karna, peerless, blazing, sought forbidden knowledge and paid a price only destiny knows how to write. Was Parashurama on the throne? No. But trace the lines of Mahabharata's greatest bows and spears, and you find his hand steadying the reed. He had become something rarer than a hero, the master who makes heroes. And still, the river hasn't spent its last song. If this journey moves you, a like and share will help it reach others like you. It tells the algorithm what your heart already knows. These stories still matter. Why do temples rarely carry his name? Why do children learn Rama and Krishna but whisper Parashurama only later? Because he chose it. Because some legacies are designed for echo, not spotlight. Because the greatest gardeners step aside when the sapling finds sun. And yet, he is not gone. Scripture leaves a final doorway ajar. When darkness reaches for the crown, Kalki will ride. And who will sharpen the last blade? Who will teach the final lesson of justice married to restraint? The same hand that lifted the axe will lift a mirror. Strike not from anger, but from alignment, the mentor will say. The lesson will be old as fire, new as dawn. So was it wrath that defined him or renunciation? Perhaps the answer is not either, but both. What is dharma when power forgets humility? Parashurama answers with a paradox. Burn what is rotten, then put out your own fire. He teaches that strength without surrender is just noise. That justice without self-control becomes a second tyranny. That true influence is not the crown on the head, but the counsel in someone else's ear. Was it destiny that drove him to 21 reckonings, or choice, deliberate and disciplined? And in our smaller wars, at work, at home, within, do we strike to prove we are strong or to protect what is sacred? If you had his axe and his insight, would you step into the light or guard the flame from the shadows? Tell me in the comments, what would you have done in his place? Thank you for walking this ancient path with us. Subscribe to Vedic Wars, where old souls meet new seekers.